Okay, recording has started. Hi guys, nice to meet you all again.
Hey ho.
Um,
Hello.
before we start and going into what happened the last couple of weeks and where the current status of development is, I want to give you some idea of what happens with the organization and all the other things that are bound to us. I get a lot of questions last week, months even, about the enclosure. Um, just to inform you and whoever sees this video, the enclosures are produced in England, and we are now finalizing an online store that allows us to sell these enclosures worldwide. Sounds simple, is quite a challenge. I'm working with this problem since a year, and I'm now almost close to have it finalized. It will work on a principle that we do not pre-produce. So the enclosures are specially designed for our purposes, and we want to change them in the future to adapt to new features, to new what have you. But for now, it's this version, for version 3.7, and we are going to produce them on demand, meaning if someone goes to the store and purchases this, it is a pre-order, meaning the payment works immediately, and at a certain um, a number of orders in, we are going to start production. So this is an automatic thing that we are going to configure right now in the store, so that when 15 payments are in, the production of 15 enclosures is initiated, and the rest runs automatically. So it goes, when they are produced, over to the logistics company and they are shipping worldwide. I hope it will take us not more than 1 or 2 weeks until this finally is realized, is coming to life. For you it might sound silly, but for me, I'm working on this since a year, and you have no idea what happened to all this around us. So I pull my hat for everyone who runs an online store and sells globally, really. This is truly a challenge. But we are there, and we will also, not only the enclosures, sell them there. Um, One important thing is we produce them on the lowest possible value, cost cost factor. And we do not earn any money with this. Sky 360 is not earning money with these products on the store. It is not, our intention is not to earn money, but to provide means and material to our members. I have to say this loud again, not people not coming up with strange ideas. So we are not upfronting this value that you find on the store. Then it's the price as it is, and we do not earn any cent with these materials. But in the future, there will be other things like the patches that you can sew on, and what have you, merchandise material and stickers, and also important material like, for example, things that are 3D printed. For example, this little vent duct that is put on the Noctua fan, so to cool the nano processor, which directs the air directly into the PSU, which directly immediately puts it out of the box in a normal state. Right, that's the normal without the climate control state. So what I'm saying to Brad right now, because Brad is working on a closed loop or on a climate control system, whether it's closed loop or open loop in the future, we don't know yet. But that's an active part and is an add-on to the enclosure. The enclosure itself is cooled, let's say, passively by just using the fan and the Noctua fan of the PSU and the Noctua fan from the Nano, just to have a let's say an exchange of air inside blown out, air from outside ambient coming in. So the climate control is a device, will be a device in the future, that is also a product that we develop and let produce or by partly produce by ourselves and put in the store. And the same way, we're gonna pre-order, put them there on pre-order. So people, let's say we define a certain number, let's say 5 for the climate control. So we need 5 orders in until 5 climate controls are produced. So that's the idea. Any questions up to now? You look all either baffled or disinterested.
Maybe we can add something to it. We decided that having an air conditioning is needed for 2 things. The reasons are we have to keep the allsky cam and the dome for the PTZ as dry as possible because of the outside weather. If the dome or let's say the cover for the allsky cam gets too much humidity, it condenses on the glass or the on the dome itself, and we won't see anything. So if we can control that, on the one hand, for the condenses, for the humidity, we get a much better view. And the other thing is, if we have too much humidity inside, it's bad for the electronics. Even if it's freezing, then the humidity falls down, gets on the electronics and freezes on them. And that's bad for them. So that was the decision why we said, okay, having an air conditioning system would be rather nice. So we created one.
Yeah, right. Same will be true for the PTZ.
Yes.
And other products. So it's a means for us to produce, to develop, to produce, and to procure for all the members. So because the final goal is to have this global network of our stations. All right. No questions so far about the store and the ideas around the automatism and so forth? Okay, so I skipped that point. Yeah, let's go over to the next topic. Before we go into, let's say, Rebecca wants to tell us some details, maybe what happened last weeks. Before that, I want to tell you about the outcome of the GUI contest. So the GUI contest did not create any submissions yet. I have spoken to Tommy, and we admitted that we now take the award, the money or the gift card, and talk directly with UI designers. He agreed on that. He even is going to talk to his designers locally by himself. I agreed to talk with my UI designers here in Vienna. And if any one of you wants to talk with UI designers you are familiar with, you know well enough to say that's a good one, we cannot talk to them directly saying, so this is the amount, let's say we have $1,000 for a UI design, what can you do with this for us? And do you want to do it? Okay. Rebecca, you wanted to say something?
No, I was just clearing my throat.
Okay.
No submission from Bojan?
He didn't give me.
Okay.
He told me. He didn't
No
show
comment.
me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, we didn't find a, maybe we can talk about this, what we did wrong. Maybe we didn't address it good enough. It is not presented well enough. I have no idea. I actually don't care about this, what was in the past and the milk that is spilled. But I think it's a good chance so we can pick UI designers and talk with them directly. Meaning, if you guys come up with a UI designer and maybe you can give us an idea what the work is that this person is or did in the past, so that we can say, okay, when we have 3-4 designers, for example, then we say, okay, we go with that one because that look is more into our direction, for example. Would you agree? Or any other thoughts?
I don't know any UI designers, but I would chime in.
You want to chime in, Pi?
No, I said I don't know any UI designers, or I would chime in.
Ah, okay.
So.
No, I worked with several UI designers in the past, mostly for especially software and user interface. So I have some who are very knowledgeable, but everyone has his own style, of course, and everyone has his personal, auf Deutsch we would say Befindlichkeiten, meaning they're special people. Like every programmer is a special person. So, but it's design. That's the problem. When you talk about code, it's technical, it's logic. It's either working or not working. But design is something very soft. So you have to find the right designer. Otherwise, you end up in only having discussions, endless discussions. So that's why I wanted to ask you whether you can talk with your people you know, and maybe come back to us with material they did in the past, so that we can all sit together, you and whoever is here, and discuss about, let's say, direction, because it will definitely define the direction it is going to. So if you, for example, we go with a designer who prefers orange colors, for example, we will find a lot of orange colors in the end design. This was an acronym. I hope you understood what I mean. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, actually we can start right now. Tommy Goodson gave me already green light for that. See what we come up in the next couple of weeks. Okay, I'd say we meet again next weekend and then talk about this topic if you had time to talk one of your colleagues, friends, who is a UI designer. Okay. No other questions about this?
Maybe we can just talk about for a few minutes why no submission was done. I gave the complete intel to some of my, let's say, friends, but in the first place, they were interested and said, okay, yeah, let's do that. I'm going to look into it and I'm coming up with a solution and put it in. But as no submission was done, I have to ask them because they were enthusiastic about it, very enthusiastic. But since no submission is done, something went wrong.
I don't know either, because I have some chat here on Discord, people asking me about details in the instructions PDF. And I thought, okay, they're already working on it. So, and this were 3 people. Maybe I can touch back with them and see where they stand.
We need some feedback about it, yeah.
Maybe they mixed up the timing. I don't know.
Was it the competition itself that did it? I mean, the thought of maybe, it seems like enticement, but maybe the thought of putting in the work and then having it not be selected is enough to deter some folks. I thought it certainly would have enticed people to try.
Yeah.
Considering that, you know, we don't pay anybody anything. We're all volunteers.
I mean, could it just maybe be timing in that people are just, you know, the last couple of years have been quite restrictive in what you could do with regards to seeing friends and those sorts of things. So could it just be that people are just trying to catch up with, you know, just their priorities have just changed slightly. You know, I know mine. As you know, I've been kind of offline for a little bit just because I've been also just catching up and stuff, and it could just be the timing, you know.
Yeah, could be.
So I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't want you to overthink it or kind of. Yeah, it could just be the timing, because of what we've had the last couple of years.
Yeah, definitely. Could also be that we only gave 6 weeks. Maybe it was too short. But anyhow, this is
too short for just placing pieces on some kind of paper or a desktop. Really?
Because we weren't
I
asking
don't
for
think so.
like the full thing. We were asking for the concept, right? It was didn't have to be 100% done.
Yeah,
so
right.
Just an idea how to place, let's
Yeah,
say,
you can
a video
scribble this
view
in an afternoon, of
and
course.
yeah.
I mean, for $1,000, I can get my markers out, and if that will count, I mean,
Yeah.
So you're the only submission, and we have a winner.
I'll win by default.
So that's good. On the one hand, we have no submission, meaning we have no winner. We don't have to spend the money on something we don't like. That's a good thing. For second, we can now talk with UI designers directly. Hi, Lionel.
Hi.
Hi there.
I'm on my bike.
You're on your bike. Oh, that's nice. Nice weather.
Yeah. Back from the tennis.
Oh, perfect. He got a sunny smile on his face.
Well, anyways, you guys carry on.
Okay, so you're listening in. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just talking about the mishap with the GUI contest and why it did not work out the way we wanted it to work out. Yeah, we have some ideas why, but at the end, I'd say that's my point of view. It's spilled milk, and we now have something where we can talk with the UI designer directly. Would be my idea. At least Tommy agreed. I think it's a good chance to select a good UI designer and let him scribble for an afternoon. I mean, for $1,000, there should be a lot of scribbling, won't it? Yo, okay. That's
you would hope so, yeah.
But yes, Mike, you can be right that people. I mean, maybe these people already started working, but then other private family business stuff came into. Could be. So okay, I'm gonna check back to the 3 people who'd contacted me already, and Kristen, you contact your colleague or friend, and and maybe you also. And Lionel, that's a question to you. If you have a UI designer in your neighborhood at your disposal, can you talk with them? Just ask him
Sure.
if she would be interested to do it.
Okay, I might know someone.
Okay. So the
Okay,
idea is
I will call them.
every one of us is now talking with these friends or knowns or partners, colleagues, and we meet next weekend. And the question is, can you ask the idea that the person you have in your mind that you get something of a UI that he did in the past, so that we get an idea of a feeling, what is his direction, what is his emphasis. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that we have something to discuss about next weekend.
Okay.
Okay. 2 of the 4 guys I talked to about it just. I sent the question to him some minutes ago. 2 responded and said, "Oh, I didn't took it so seriously. So screw them."
Yeah, if $1,000 not serious for them, okay.
Yeah. So screw them.
Screw them, right? All right.
The other 2, I think I'll get an answer today, maybe tomorrow, but yeah.
Okay, next topic. Rebecca, you want to go on with your topic? You want to raise a topic?
I can give you updates on what the GUI team has been working on. Can you hear me just fine?
Yes, yes, just fine.
Okay. I went ahead and added Yannick's code for the weather API into the Django app. I've also added an ISS map, a map showing the ISS station, orbiting around the Earth. And that's all going to be put into one map, but right now it's just separate, so that way it's easier to, organize the code. See, I did add the databases, Postgres, as well as Neo4j. I'm actually working off of Raspberry Pi 4 and Windows 12. And I just think when we have the database, I know that it's going to be on the Sky 360 station, but then you're going to want to transfer it over. And if people are using Raspberry Pi, they're going to save their data on portable drive. So I have to figure out how to do that. Also, let me see. I'm working on the video camera. I'm looking at different video to see which one I like. So I'm going through that, but I added a video camera to the Django app as well. And I'll be working on an overlay for that. You mentioned the compass rose, and I know what you're talking about. A compass that actually circles around the camera image. And so I think one is going to be that there's going to be a camera image, which is circular. And then I'm going to have to put the cameras on top of it. But there are going to be 150,000 stations around the world, all with their own camera setup. So I don't know if that camera is actually placed exactly in the same position for every camera around the world. Do you understand what I'm saying? Is the circle within the square the same everywhere? Or does anybody know that? I guess that's what I need to know. Because if not, then we have to find a way to move the compass rose over the camera so that way it's positioned correctly. And that just helps with how to write the code out, I guess is what I'm saying. Does anybody know?
Do I understand it clearly that you're talking about some kind of, let's say, windrows system telling which way to look, to north, to south, to east, and west?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And that's an overlay that's going to be placed on top of the camera view. But I've seen different videos from Sky 360, and some of them show the camera sort of cut off, so it's not a full circle. Others, it is a full circle. So is there some way to make that consistent? Or if not, then that just means that I need to make the overlay so that someone can drag and drop it over the camera so that it's positioned correctly.
What I was thinking about was providing the view direction within the stream when it comes from the camera directly. So there will be some kind of notification. Okay, here is the meridian, and this goes from north to south, and so north, south, east, and west should be marked in the video itself.
Okay. So then I don't have to worry about actually creating a compass rose. Okay.
Because we have to orientate the allsky camera already, and therefore we need that markings.
Okay. Well, then that brings me to my other question about the mask. Are you going to be doing that through at your end as well, or is that something that we'll do on the GUI? Well, I guess we'll have to do some of that on the GUI, I suppose, where we mask out some portion of the view that you don't want other people to see. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We're still doing that?
Yeah, okay. we don't do that on the streaming side.
Okay.
So wait. Sorry, time out. That's a crucial point. Christian, for your information, we need an editor for the mask in the user interface, and I think that's the reason why Rebecca is after it. because this is the user interface, the only means where we can create a mask, because the mask is individual. From everyone has his own mask.
Yes.
But the mask shall be stored, and your process, your streamer, shall pick that mask up and lay it over. It should not exist any material where this mask is not applied.
So Richard, what you're suggesting, you're not actually taking data from the sensor in those spots? Is that the level of mask you're applying to this?
Yes.
Okay.
So the sensor is dead in those selected sections of the
These are
image,
just
right?
black
So there's
black
no
parts.
data.
There's no movement. It's just black parts.
Yeah, so you're not taking a virtual mask and overlaying it over the original image that could eventually be recovered later, right? We have an actual mask that we blocked out the sensor itself in those areas. Is that how it's going to work?
It masks out the sensor itself. I don't know how I understand this. So the main idea of the mask is because in your view of your fisheye cam can be things or other persons, there's privacy you could infringe by recording them, for example.
Yes, and so like my security cameras at home have a mask option. It's not just a black box you draw over something. The sensor literally doesn't record in those spots.
It records, it just lays it over, and when it's laid over and it's a black area, the software that looks for movement, for example, doesn't see any movement in this black spot because there is no movement. So that's the blackening, the masking.
Okay, so I guess my question is, we're going with something like that. It's not just some thing we drag over, and the image could actually be of my neighbor's window could be recovered somehow at some point, or it exists on record.
No, it's pure black. It's black. Yeah. The idea is
that was just my question.
Well, my thinking is, so you're saying, let's say you live next to a neighbor who has a tall 2-story house, so you don't want that to be seen at all, ever, even if a UAP crosses in front of it. That's, since it's blacked out, you won't see any of it.
If the UAP
like
crosses
that?
in front of the house of the neighbor, then you have another problem.
Well, they're tiny ships. They can be tiny ships. But
yeah,
you see what I'm saying?
Yes, I know what
in
you
other
mean.
words, that'll never be recorded no matter what.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
But on the raw stream itself, this is not what takes place on my end. On my end, I just provide the video stream, and the rest is done at another place.
I question this, Christian. I think that the moment the stream is produced, the mask had to be applied, because there should not be any means that you can infringe a privacy. For example,
yeah, no. I'm talking about the raw stream. When the raw stream is done, then it is sent to the WebSocket or to the tracker, and this is stage 2. In stage 2, we can do masking, but in stage 1, when the raw stream is produced, there is only the orientation things are done, not more. Just the orientation markings.
We do have the masking capability in the tracker. I'm a bit rusty, but I there's definitely masking capability in the tracker, and
so that's why we do not need any thing on the raw stream. That's done by the tracker or the web GUI.
Is it for you a performance question?
Yes.
I see. Okay. So then it has to be, Mike, it has to be the first step. When the stream comes in, the first thing has to be that the mask has to be applied.
Yeah, let me.
That there's no chance by any means that privacy can be breached.
No, agreed. No. Look, I completely agree with you. I'm a bit rusty with the source at the moment, but I do know it happens quite high up in the kind of in the call stack or the frame processing pipeline. So it and I have I have tried to implement it in such a way, or I'm moving to a implementation where you can obviously apply multiple masks and that's that sort of thing. So let me just quickly give me, you guys just
Okay.
keep on with the meeting.
Okay.
I'll have a quick look.
Okay. Okay. My question to you, Mike, would be how do you implement the mask? Is it in your, do you create a new stream or is it an XOR question thing?
I think it's sort of XOR really. I think it takes the actual frames and the actual frame that comes in and just the mask section just makes it black.
Mhm. Okay.
Removes
Okay.
all
Okay.
yeah.
So you get in a stream, you XOR it and get out another stream, and that's the stream that you process.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. And this is
Do you still?
performance-wise? Sorry. Rebecca, go ahead.
I was just wondering, do you still have the ability to save the original that was not processed, just in case?
I kind of think that's probably a bit of a no-no, really. I think I mean, those sorts of things are taken quite seriously with us. So it's if a mask's applied, then I think it needs to be that data is not visible ever, sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I'm being greedy.
No, fair enough. It's fair question, obviously. So.
Yeah, the sensitivity of the material is quite a point, and I think we had a full session about discussing what we should provide or what we should have viewable, and yeah. Of course, we understand that privacy is an issue, and of course, we see it that maybe government sources may come to us and ask for something, and yeah, it's a complicated question, what to provide.
I
And
wonder.
I think we agreed on that. We say, okay, if nobody should see it, then we go by that, and even authorities shouldn't see it.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So that's why I actually do not want to see any means where even if someone hacks a station somehow, that he's able to breach this, if possible.
Yeah. So just to come back to that, yeah. So basically, it's the first thing that happens when we process a frame is that the mask is applied.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the mask is, in your way, it's a PNG image of the same size as a frame?
Oh, I think it's just enacted on the frame the bytes that come in. I can't remember, Britted. I'll have to look into it, mate. Sorry.
No worries. I'm just thinking out loud. So when the stream comes in, the size of a frame is known, right, Christian?
Yes,
Okay.
because it's the size of the chip.
Right. So this size, the mask should be applied to the size because we need this on a full scale, not on a scale by 50% or anything. So we need this on the 100% scale. This mask.
Yes, it's done before any resizing is done.
Perfect.
I can tell you that. Yes.
Perfect.
Because the first iframe that comes in defines it.
Yeah. The position of the frame.
No trimming section, nothing else applied.
Yeah.
It's a raw video stream.
Yeah. And Rebecca, for your information, for example, the Dahua camera, the material that you are familiar with, that's from a Dahua camera, has a resolution of 4000 by 3000, what have you. But it also has a mode where it goes back to 2880 by 2880. means it crops away unnecessary stuff from the view, because this fisheye is always a circle and the sensor is mostly a rectangle. So you project a circle onto a rectangle, and that's why you always have blacks that you don't need. But you can crop it to the left and to the right so that your stream, the data, is reduced. But this is something that Christian is right now working on, I assume. Right, Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you get the stream in, Rebecca, it's always square, right? Christian, it's already
Yeah.
cropped to the squareness of a fisheye, right? Because it doesn't make sense to have
Depends.
this blackness that's stream. That's just unnecessary
Uh,
data.
y- yeah, I can trimming that is not that hard to do, and we're losing nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
we trim it to square.
okay. Well, that certainly simplifies what I'm doing with the GUI.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about the masking or the compass rose. So that simplifies it a bit there.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
The masking for what you do, you have to do it on your own because it's part of the web GUI that does it. Mike is doing the masking with the tracker himself, and I just provide the video stream and doing the square because it reduces the data stream that has to be provided.
okay. So then we have to find a way to, I guess, have that software read whatever the person masks, So
yeah. From the JSON file, you have to read what is masked, and maybe Mike can provide the information for, let's say, as a standard masking. That could be done. And so you've got a feedback for that, and maybe one can. Yeah, we should have a standard masking and provide an editor to add, let's say, personal mask features. That could be a way to go.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. I don't have it completely fleshed out just yet, but I'm thinking, they're going to need a square, and they're going to need to be able to black out portions of it, and we're going to have to save that and somehow send it to that software that Mike is using, a copy of that, to somehow read it and then create the masking. So however it's done. So I guess that's what I'm just thinking out loud really right now. So yeah, that needs to be done somehow.
So
maybe I can see the software, or to see what I should send to that software, or that kind of thing.
So the mask has to be stored somewhere, so that because you get and you work on a Pi, for example, Rebecca, and Mike is running on a Nano. So, but you have to have access to the same file system so that you can, when you save the mask, Mike can pick it up. But
and what format? A PNG file, a JSON file, you're saying? Or
it'll so I think for us it'll just be some sort of coordinates really, or just points.
Oh dear.
Points like S.
No. May I interrupt here? No, Mike. This is too complicated. We're not talking about what cameras or security cameras normally understand by masking. What they do is just take a rectangle and make a rectangle. So in that case, you only need some vectors, and yeah, that's easy. Now what we need is a bitmap, is a PNG file, because the user sees in the fisheye view where the infringement parts are. He sees where the window is. And the window can be very distracted. It could be something perspectively not rectangular, let's say. Or for example, you have a tree next to your station, and the tree is in the wind waving back and forth, and creating a lot of movement that you do not want your tracker to be disturbed with. because it's only leaves that are shaking. And that's why you
So
want to draw you want to black out the whole tree.
may we, while we have this setup sequence, this map might be created on its own and can be then added with something else.
Created
Is
by
this
its own.
a solution? When you first set up the equipment,
Yeah.
then the first video is recorded,
Yeah.
or the first video is shown. Maybe we could have some kind of masking stage that
Yeah, like an assistant.
gets it on its own and does not need the user to draw it.
Why? How does it to get by its own? How...
Yeah.
Magic?
No, but you can detect, let's say, a house. You can detect some kind of trees. These things could be detected and then blacked out.
It'd be easier just because I do it all the time on cameras. It's just you just take your editor and it has brush options like the one on my NAS does, and you just go, and then you can make the brush bigger to brush out a larger number of these tiny little squares that form the mask, or you make the brush smaller, and it only takes a second. So
yeah,
I would say the complication of automating
that would mean someone is going to skip that, and then nothing is masked.
Yes.
True. It's.
But then, if this is in the initial setup, if this is a step he has to follow, and if he clicks go ahead and not creating this mask, then there's an empty mask. There's always a mask, but it's empty in that case. It's a PNG
yes. So we have to avoid. So we have to avoid it that anyone can't provide.
Why?
Because then we have the problem that anything is shown, and we violate our own policy.
No.
Well, there's a whole industry of cameras out there. There's a whole industry out there. There's security cameras all over the place, and if you apply their masks and then say a bird, and I'm speaking from experience here, hits your camera and moves it out of position, the mask moves with the image. So you're now recording things you shouldn't have been recording in the first place, and that is just act of God. So I think we're covered in that respect.
Okay.
If we're trying our best, but we automating that, being like a Google Street View car in terms of its ability to take out people's faces and automatically blur, that's a level of complication that I don't know that we want to.
Yeah, that's the point where I was pointing it to. So do we need that or don't we?
No.
I think there's enough precedent out there to cover our asses, if that's how we want to look at it. I mean, we're doing our best to provide privacy.
Yeah.
If some random technical glitch or the station gets knocked out of position, or we have one user who is the bad apple, I don't think that implicates us as an organization as being nefarious or not having done our due diligence in trying to provide privacy rights to people. So
yeah. So I would say yes, you're right. There's a setup process where at a certain point this mask has to be created, but anyone can skip it. But Christian, consider maybe someone like Tommy Goodson puts it out in the desert. There's nothing. So he doesn't need a mask from his point of view, although it technically exists, although it is an empty mask.
Okay, yeah.
And for the mask, I'd say we take a bitmap, a PNG file, and from my experience with masks and from the past is we always worked with alpha channels, because PNG has alpha channels, and because you can draw an alpha channel, and because it's just one layer, one color actually, it's just existing or not existing in, I think, in shades. But the one important thing is, Rebecca, that you do not draw in shades. You should be drawing in 100% either black or nothing. So the end should be a PNG file where there's actually no image. in the RGB, but only the alpha is filled. And the alpha is filled only in 100% pixels, not in shades of. So either it's a 0-1 thing.
Black or no color.
Yes.
And then what, that gets converted to like numbers and sent over to.
No. It's just an image. That's all. That's all Mike needs. Mike takes the picture, this image, and adds it to the existing frame that comes in. It's just an add. It's not pixel adding. It's how do you say this?
Summing.
Substituting, actually. You substitute.
Okay.
If Mike's code will be if a pixel in the alpha is true, meaning there is something, then take this pixel, else take the stream pixel, the video pixel. And by this you have automatically a masked frame. Right, Mike?
Yeah, so yeah, from an implementation standpoint, I don't. It'll be some sort of bitwise operation at pixel level.
Yeah.
You know, that's yeah.
But from my experience, the best thing is if the mask is the same size as the source and is also a pixel image, meaning it has an alpha channel, because the alpha channel is very easily to call.
So are we saying that? Okay, so it's not going to be shapes, and there definitely there could be multiple. Okay, yeah.
I'd say it's much more easier for the mask editor to have only black color, because it's what you see is what you get. If you have a screen in front of you with the fisheye of the sky, you have a black color and you paint on it, then you immediately see what you black out, what the result is. And Rebecca, you only use not brushes with falling off edges, but pixelated ones. I don't know what the English name for it is. Like.
Okay. I'm not sure, but I know what you mean. Yep. You don't want any gradient. You want black or.
And maybe
pixel art.
Yeah, very pixel art.
There you go.
And if you could provide a means of so that there's a kind of a slider, for example, the size of the cursor. So maybe there are areas where I need a bigger cursor to be quicker, kind of. You know what I mean?
I think so, Rebecca. Just so you know, we're just gonna have to figure this stuff out. So I don't. I think we're both a little bit. I'm not so sure how to do it and all that sort of stuff, but we'll just figure it out. Okay, so don't sweat too much.
Okay, sounds good. I'll shoot you questions.
Yeah, just expect a couple to come your way as well.
Okay. And so,
Rebecca, go ahead.
And then also I wanted to, for the image, for the video overlay, also provide an option to have it printed out with the overlay with the mask on there. I think that covers it for the video. Those were my questions about the video, being more specific on that. And so I don't want to steal Yannick's thunder, but we're already starting to get ideas for the flight aware section, as well as GPS, adding GPS, or maybe using the devices, or actually using the Sky 360 station, one of the internet connections there to get the GPS data. I'm not sure, but we're at that stage right now on that.
Do you have a GPS sensor on your Raspberry?
I don't know. I probably do, but I don't think so. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I've only been using it right now for the GUI development, for the weather information and the video. So I haven't gotten to that other stage. I was thinking of buying the GPS device that's recommended on the Sky 360, or then there's also the possibility of just using. See, it's a little murky. I'm just starting to flesh that out as well. Either use the Raspberry Pi or the internet connection. Yannick mentioned Google Maps can get your GPS location, which I've seen. The only thing is sometimes, for example, my GPS will sometimes give the wrong location. It'll give my location is about 300 miles away from where I am. 300, 400 miles away from where I am. Yeah. That's the only reason I was thinking you might want the GPS device above all else, but I don't know. There's also a GPS device for the Raspberry Pi that also has that same information that you would find on the whip motion device. You know, I don't know what all that terminology is, but it's leveling it to make sure the whole thing is level.
Accelerations and so forth, gyros.
Yeah, so that's being thought out right now. We're thinking about that.
The question, this is a question to every one of you. A GPS is something that retrieves information from the satellites. So it sees where the satellites are and can triangulate and then recalculate where it is positioned, right? In that case, it's actually a pure reading device. My question is, does it make any sense for us to use a GPS at all? So for example, if I set up my station at a certain place, I know where my place is. I do not need a GPS to tell me what my GPS coordinate is. I just can take my smartphone, okay? And you could type in your coordinate and fix this coordinate forever, as long as the station is there. Of course, if you move it, you have to change that.
Yeah.
But my question, Christian, is,
for the stationary one, we do not need any GPS.
It
just consumes power.
Exactly. What does a GPS sensor then bring to
Nothing.
us?
The only thing a U-Block 7 device does two things that we could actually use. We can hook it up, or we can use it as an addition to the geophone, because it can collect the data of movement, like vibrations, for example. Because they are very, very tiny vibrations, but normally I would say we do not need a GPS device, because it just consumes a lot of energy.
Right.
So
doing
on
nothing.
like you're going to get really accurate data. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
And Yannick was also saying that it's less hardware to buy, makes it easier for people to build. The less complication, the easier it is for people to plug and play the whole thing, to make it much more simple too.
Yeah. So the thing we have, the thing I've hooked up over there, the Adafruit, whatever unit that was recommended for SkyHub, that's not going to give you like scientific pinpoint accuracy. It's you need like a ground station Trimble, and you're still going to be several feet off. So the only reason I thought we had it was to make the potential for triangulation among stations possible. But Richard, to your point, I think if you were to enter your coordinates accurately enough and you didn't move your station, then you could just go off of that.
When you see when you know where you place your station, and you can go to Google Earth and view it top down, I mean, there's nothing better than this. You can almost to the centimeter you can place it, and you take this coordinate that you read out from Google Earth, and that's it. What you said, Christian, I don't see a GPS giving us any good.
The problem is that from the viewing point of the allsky cam, we at best have 1 arc minute as position accuracy. So what good are arc seconds or milli arc seconds to that? And even if a GPS could provide that, in a good way, we do not need it because our accuracy is arc minutes. Because if we want to if we detect something in, let's say, 50 kilometers distance, arc minutes is the best we can get. So I don't see a point in having arc seconds or better for the placement. No, the GPS we do not need.
Speaking about
And like
We're
you're
about to
accuracy,
actually get a piece of hardware. That's nice.
less
Yeah.
hardware.
It reduces hardware and it's cost effective if we do it.
And the thing
Because
is, if you wanted to,
we can say the one who is installing normally has his or her smartphone with it, or a tablet or something like that, and even if you just go to Google and look where you place it, it's fine enough because we do not do any calculations with it. We just place it.
as long as you're in an urban area, you are better
Yeah.
off with Google Earth pointing it.
Yes.
Only when you are in the desert and there's no marking point on Google Earth, it's just yellow, then you need something.
But if
a
you're in
line-
the desert, then you have got a GPS with you,
Yeah, exactly.
so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. But in that case, even in that case, you have to how do you say, to come clean with yourself what coordinate you're using, because when you watch on your GPS reader, you see a running float point, you know, it's
Yeah.
running, okay? It's not static.
You've got arrows.
So you have to find a certain time. This is my coordinate now. So, but the next second, it's a different coordinate.
Yeah.
So, I'd say
So-
we go with Google Earth. That's the best one. And do
Yeah.
all this
Okay.
acceleration with a motion, a device that is specifically designed for that purpose. So it gives high accuracy. So the bit motion devices are perfect for any kind of relative motion.
I think we just freed up a USB port in doing that.
See?
Yeah.
Rebecca?
I think I'll leave it at that. And
What we need in this case, what we came up now is we need an editor for the GPS coordinate. Yeah, because if you're a station and you put it there and maybe someone says you have to put it 10 meters away, or then you have to put in another geo coordinate to be capable
that's
of doing so.
interesting.
So just be able to change the text input you made is all we really need, I think.
Yeah.
Like, okay, are you saying just input, like, for example, put in your address in Google and get the latitude, longitude,
Exactly.
and that, then try to pinpoint how far away your station is from that address? Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
I was just thinking the simplest thing to do was just to feed it the coordinates right off the Google Earth map. I mean, it gives you either the option of like degrees, minutes, seconds, or decimal degrees.
Yeah.
So just hit a box for one of those and you hit save, and that's should be all you need.
We can reduce it somewhere on Earth.
Right.
Perfect to place. I have one last one question to what you were talking about, Christian and Rebecca. You were talking about the compass rose. I'm not on your page. Maybe I have a weird imagination about this. My point of view of a compass rose is like in a military radar, where you have the screen, it is round, and you see terrain and what have you, and you see the compass segments around it. So a big
Yes.
compass rose, not a small compass rose somewhere like in a plan.
Oh,
in
it's a
map,
big one.
but surrounding the
Yeah.
view.
I'm talking about this. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
Okay.
one I'm talking about. What you're talking about. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now my question to Christian: how do you come up with the orientation?
We discussed that last year. I think at mid-September, and
Yeah, beat me.
yeah, and we talked about how are we going to orientate it, and we place it, and by placing it, we have an orientation already, because we said that we take some markings in the landscape, or we just put it there from the using the smartphone to orientate it. And if we have that orientation, then north and south is already placed.
What do you think?
Because we put it on the enclosure and say, okay, if we turn it like this or we turn it like that, this is the orientation, and by setting it up, the orientation is fixed.
So my
Yes and no.
accelerometer on my phone jams a lot, and it tells me I'm looking in all different directions. Wouldn't the whip motion that we're installing in the station be a better source of that?
It
It's
depends.
only whip motion is only for relative motion. It doesn't give you
It doesn't have
the
compass,
GPS has the GPS has a compass in it too. Yes, of course. Let's say the U Block 7 device.
Yeah, guys, but in reality, a stationer is in his garage and he fills this thing together, and you cannot be sure whether the whip motion is oriented within the station is oriented perfectly, or the camera is mounted correctly. Yeah, I think we can forget about this. My proposal would be, that's why I asked you, and yeah, is whether we should do it like we do it with a mask. Let's say you put your station somewhere and you see the view of the camera. When you are at the station and you have a compass in your hand, or you take a smartphone which tells you where's north, then you can pinpoint something in the distance and say, okay, I see this is my north point. Maybe it's a tree, maybe it's a house, maybe it's whatever, a mountain.
Yeah.
And say, okay, this is north from the point of view, and I see the same north in my view in the video. This editor should then be able to make a click somewhere and say, okay, this is what I see in the view, and this is north to me. And
this is what we decided last year in September.
Yeah, exactly. So, and now coming back to you, Rebecca, we need a north editor. a north point editor. So meaning you can use the mask, the same editor, let's say, but maybe another feature that draws a red dot where north is from the station's point of view, that the user can point in. Because it can be the same in the future, that if the station is moved from A to B, that of course the north can also be changed. So in that case, we need a re-editing of the north.
And would that be on the same PNG as the one for the masking, or separate?
Ooh.
We could use that.
You could use the same. You could use the alpha only for the masking and use the RGB for whatever, what have you. Actually, we need just one
like
pixel and one red pixel, for example, and then we need an algorithm that checks all pixels, whether there's in the red channel there's a pixel, and then we know.
Can I maybe just make a suggestion, or just something with regards to the location? Have you guys ever heard of an app called What 3 Words?
What 3 words?
Yeah, What 3 Words? It's basically okay. It's worth googling it. I guess it's essentially it's every location on Earth is described by 3 words, and they've got a reverse API so that you can find the location using the What 3 Words app and just put that in, and that gives you the coordinate. If you struggle with like a coordinate editor, is the point I'm trying to make.
I struggle with understanding how that works. I'm downloading it now because I'm curious.
Yeah, it might be worth just having a look, and yeah, it's quite cool. We use it a lot over here for giving a location versus telling someone coordinates. You just tell them 3 words, and that's essentially your location.
Okay.
Oh, I follow now. I think I follow.
Yeah, you'll if you install the app, you'll see what I mean. So all I was saying is it's got a reverse API, so you can put in your 3 words and it'll give you your coordinates. So I think if there's a struggle with trying to input coordinates or all that sort of thing, you can just go down the route of there's other options.
The website is called what? 3 as a number words.com.
Okay. What 3 words?
What?
What does it help, Mike? What does that help us?
So all I'm trying to say is if there's a difficulty with providing an editor to type in your coordinates,
Why should it?
okay, what an alternative or another option is to, rather than take in coordinates, is just to provide 3 words and then do the coordinate lookup using the 3 words.
So it would also, I guess, prevent. It would keep your users from accidentally swapping latitude and longitude, which I am known to do on occasion.
Yeah, so
And winding up in the southern hemisphere.
it might just simplify determining the location of the station. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's just an option.
Yep, I get what you're referring to. So if you can say that tree over there and that car, or let's say that bush, or let's say that rock over there, these are things in place and they won't move. So with these 3 views that you pinpoint, you can describe and position something very, very accurately. Is that what you are talking about?
Me? No. Sorry, you guys. You might be overthinking it. It purely is just it translates a coordinate into 3 words, just its own 3 words. So all I'm saying is you get an app. So if people struggle with inputting coordinates, in somehow, you just get the app and get the 3 words that are specific to the location you're at.
See it. That's too bright. There we go. And you even get a little grid around you, and you can click on one of the spots, and now it says those are my 3 words for that grid point.
Yeah.
I'm actually down here. So if I wanted to, it's so instead of like when we were putting together the world map of stations, Richard, and we were having to give you truncated coordinates, and I was just deleting numbers, and I accidentally pegged my station to a person's driveway. So it is not very private for them, even though the station's not there. This would give me a little overlay, and I could just pick a tree somewhere that I know that is not a privacy or whatever violation.
Yes.
And just, you get 3 little words, and then that's nice and easy.
Okay, well, I understood it, but what is the win?
It's easy.
And accurate.
Yes, it's another representation of a geocoordinate, okay? So you say...
That's all it is. Yeah, that's all it is. It's just, if there's all I'm saying is, if people have difficulty inputting coordinates...
Why should they? How? Okay.
So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they shouldn't, or they, any of that sort of stuff. All I'm saying is, if they're having difficulty inputting coordinates, this just simplifies that. Because all they have to do is input 3 words.
I get your point, Mike.
Okay,
That's
all. That's
the pure existence.
Don't overthink it. That's all.
The pure existence of what 3words.com.
Kids could use it though, like children who are setting up their own Sky 360.
Some rich kids.
Schools.
You have to build your station yourself. If you are that silly that you cannot Sorry, maybe I'm.
That's a fair point. That's a
Sorry,
fair point.
I'm not calling people silly here. Not everyone who's going to what3words.com is a silly person. Please do not take me wrong. but but you have to build your station, and if you are not able to enter a geocoordinate, how you will be able to create a station?
That's fine. That's a fair point. I'm not going to challenge you on that or anything like that. All I'm saying, I just wanted to raise it as an option. That's it.
Thank you, Mike.
So when
Thanks
do
for
we
the
get
thought.
it?
Well, Mike, I'm going to go on the record and say I think it's a very clever app, albeit simple.
Cheers, Brad.
Yeah,
I like it.
It just dumbs it down. That's all. But,
Yeah, I think the idea is nice to include it because it's very intuitive. And yeah, so when do we get it?
Okay.
It could be a second reference, just in case you're out in the middle of nowhere. You can compare it to that app and confirm you're in the right spot.
Yeah. What you can do when you take your smartphone, or
Richard, consider it as playful.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I set up one of these NFT stuff, and it's called Hollow Canvas Boa. Okay, your name is Hollow Canvas Boa now. I didn't give it a name; it gives it by itself, and it did it because of the geocoordinate. And now I understand why it is that way. It's yeah. It's so that people do
We
not
should
have
move on.
words.
Richard has an aneurysm.
because Hollow Canvas Boa, these 12 letters are easier to type than I don't know, 24 ciphers, for example. I don't know.
Yeah. Normal people would think so. Yeah. Or
Okay.
non geeky sort of people would find it easier to remember 3 normal words, I think, than coordinates.
Hey guys, if you want this feature, please build it in. If you are keen of it.
It's just a suggestion, right? That's all. Yeah.
For me, okay. So, Glenn jumped in here. Hi, Glenn. Welcome. Are you? You're muted. Still mute. Yeah.
There we go. Now I'm not muted.
So.
Yes, hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey.
Sorry.
So we are right in the discussion of some elements of the user interface. Yeah, we had some discussion about
Okay.
entering geocoordinate.
Yeah.
And Rebecca, it was your turn. You were going to say something else, right?
Oh well, I was just finishing up. Yannick found a good place to get satellite information, and I think something else, but I only just briefly saw it, so that's also in the work. And that's all I have, really.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for your efforts. Hey, have you heard from Brandon recently?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
I've sent him messages, but no response. I have heard from Josh. He's busy with other things at the moment, but he's still on the team and everything. But he's had some things that have taken precedence for right now.
Yeah, same. Brandon wrote me yesterday, and he said he's rather busy with projects right now.
Oh, okay.
I would just want to know whether you know something different or where we are. All right. So before we go into whatever discussion we have, I want to inform you about a thing that Chris Lito is in cooperation with Sky360. So every one of you know Chris Lito by now, right? Okay. So his.
Who?
Sorry.
Hey, take 3 words and you want to know. Take your 3 words. So the idea is. So Chris Lito's idea is to. What we do, let's say, with our network on Earth's surface, he wants to create in a kind of microsatellites in low Earth orbit. That's the final goal, his final goal. On the way towards that goal, there are a lot of things that have to be tested until an equipment such as he imagines can be set up. And so his idea is to have several phases, and the first phase will be a pure marketing phase where he wants to launch a balloon as high as it disintegrates, I assume. And we are attaching a camera with a Pi, for example, and what we already discussed, Christian, 1 hour before, record that stream for the 6 to 8 hours onto a local storage. And then when the balloon disintegrates, this rig with the camera parachutes down and is retrieved, and so we get the data of it. The idea is now, this is the first launch on May 30 in the US. And he uses this for marketing purpose because he wants to raise money for the following phases. And our part is to provide him with the right technology, the right hardware, and software in that case. So for now, for May 30, he will only launch one fisheye camera with a storage so that we get a 6 to 8 hour material back on Earth. He purchases the material by himself, so the equipment, the hardware is owned by him. We do not own anything. He gets what we recommend as material, as hardware, and he gets, of course, software that is needed for example, in that case, only recording for the 6 to 8 hours on a rolling scheme, for example. So, and I was asking Christian to take lead on that. It's a simple task, actually. He has already the hardware and the software in place. So we should then at the end have, let's say, an SD card with a flash or some executable, what have you. And you send it over to Chris' team so that they implement it.
So here is one of the cameras we could provide. The red one over there. The other stuff is astronomical, doesn't matter. The camera is an ASI 1600 mm Pro. It's cooled and very nice, and it's 16K. This is just an example for one of the cameras. With here's the markings on it. You can see, and this camera, for that we have the Pair Gear fisheye lens that already has a 3D printed adapter to mount it, and you all know the Raspberry Pi 4, and for that I tested an SSD with an M.2 mounting because I got two of them as a Christmas present, and with such a nice little housing that is already used as a cooler, as a heatsink. And so we already have all that what we need for that on hand.
Perfect. And 6 hours, 8 hours recording, 1 terabyte should last, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah, it's everything in place. We still have to test if they come in time, the Matrix Vision camera, and then we can give Chris Lito a green light for the right camera. And
yes.
a little tool, a little executable on the Raspberry so that the recording is locally stored. Okay, so the idea is, and there will be several phases. So the next phase will be he launches 2 balloons, and the next phase he launches a microsatellite that comes back, and the last phase is microsatellites that stay up. I think. Maybe I hope I can recall it right. In any case, the material that is recorded shall also come back to us, and he also provides it to whoever wants the material. He runs the same philosophy that we do. All data that is created is free to public access. Um, from my point of view, it's interesting because we can sit some people who want to work on creating neural networks to sit on that material for experimental purposes. Not Mike, not thinking in your strategy in creating a final software for our Sky 360 station. This is something different. This software has nothing to do with us, you want to say, because our material is completely different than the material that's looking downwards. And I'd say his material is much more complicated because we have mostly we have clear skies or clouds. But if you look downwards to Earth, you got a lot of clouds. You got all the clouds. You got a lot of information that has to be processed. So I think the level of complexity is much higher.
Because you've got the zoom. Because it's going upwards, and this creates a zoom, and this
True.
it is much more complicated to detect objects with that.
Yeah. And it is certainly not static. It's certainly something that's permanently shaky. So it's a challenge by itself. But we certainly have some people, and I was talking with Paul. Mike, can you believe I was talking with Paul? He's alive. He's still in California. He had some changes in work and work balance, life balance. He promised he will come back, but he's very interested also in what Chris is heading up to. So I think this material can be interesting for a lot of people. Yeah, that's what I wanted to inform you about this project. So not much need to do from our side besides testing and setting up a small software and then waiting until the data comes back and retrieve the data and see what's in there, how useful it is.
Maybe for you, Mike, some information about the progress I made on the video stream. I had a very good test using the Pi as a video buffer. And we are now going for the streaming like this, that we put the stream out on a WebSocket. And this is a good solution because then we can split it to the web GUI and your tracker at once. And so we just do have to provide the stream. And we do not need 2 streams or 3 or make copies or put it to the Nano directly because the internal Ethernet provides much more performance than we already need. So if we have a WebSocket, and you can just take the signal, the stream from the WebSocket. We do not have any polling sequences and say, okay, I'm here. So that is much better for the performance. You said that you were looking into the VPI stuff. Did you do anything on that side?
Not yet. No, I've not managed to make any progress on that. Sorry, guys. As I say, I've just had some,
don't worry about that. You're fine. That
it's on my list. Honestly, it's on my list. It's there. It's as soon as I got all my veggies planted and all that sort of stuff.
But let's do it like this. If you go for that, just tell me. Then we can maybe have a start together.
Okay.
Because I'm looking, I'm seeking for the performance that it may provide with the raw stream directly, and I'm looking into that and forward to this. So if you start with it, just tell me, then we can go through with it together.
Okay.
Perfect.
The wingman stuff.
One last information to you, Mike, because you weren't there the last couple of times. Lionel is rather good on his way towards kinematic classification.
Okay.
So what he finally did is, from your material that you exported, to take on these tracks and make a linear regression and see how curvy these paths are, and classify on the curviness, meaning on the order of the how do you say this in English? The potential? The order within the how do you say this in English? The outcome is a function of each curve, because each curve is different, and you get the coordinate function, a two-dimensional function, but it's a function.
Polynomial?
Polynomial, thank you. It's a polynomial. And the polynomial.
What is it in German?
Polynom.
We would have gotten it.
Yeah, sometimes you don't see the forest from the trees. Yeah, and just by the order, how it fits, the order in this polynomial. Polynomial, thank you. Gives a kind of a classification. And also the parameters within the polynomial give him parameters for classification, because it is weights and balances. And that's why it's very easy to classify and to even train a neural network on it. And he managed. Last week he showed us how this fitting. Was it last week? I don't know where. He showed us how good it fits, how good and how quick he creates these fittings, this artificial curves on these tracks, and it works brilliant. I was totally baffled by that.
Oh wow! Oh, well done! Oh
yeah,
wow!
Really well done. There's certainly some things to improve. There's certainly a lot of head for improvement. So
of course, yeah.
But it's he did a very impressive step last time.
Oh wow!
And we've got a new guy on the block with a name. It's called Shamwheel. It's his name. It's not a word. It's his name, Shamwheel. And Shamwheel is working on these cropped parts of your material. So you say you have a bounding box, for example, okay, of a track, a bounding box of an object that is moving. What he does is just take these coordinates of the bounding box, the extents of the bounding box, and crop out this image. And he gets it frame by frame. So he gets a lot of images, very tiny ones. Let's say just 50 or 100 pixel size, or whatever you define or how big the event is, I don't know. Some pixels. And trains a neural net, and he's now working on it to train a neural network, because we know it is a plane or it is a bird. We know that already. So he can train a neural network to detect this on very small aperture cropped images, which make it very performance-wise, very quickly, very speedy.
Oh wow! Oh goodness me! Oh, well done.
He wanted to join in today, but yeah, he had other things. Was busy today, but he will join next weekend. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
That's all so far from my side. I checked everything on my page and the things that we wanted to inform you, Mike. And now I wanted to ask Glenn. You hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you tell me something about yourself? Why you're here? What your interest is? Just what your interest is.
Yeah, you're
going to.
I don't know how good the audio or the video is coming in your end, because we're on holiday in a rented house in Nelson, and the internet connection here is probably old school ADSL, so I don't know how good it is. Is it coming through okay?
Perfect.
Yeah. Am I picking up a Kiwi accent or an Australian accent?
That's a Kiwi accent.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, I'm sitting at the top of the South Island at the moment. There's a little town called Nelson. We don't live here. Normally we live in a town in the Bay of Plenty called Papamoa. It's a suburb of a bigger city called Tauranga, or Tauranga if you want to say it more anglicised. Anyway, why am I here? Over the last 6 months, I've suddenly stumbled across, probably since the Fravor incident and the release of those files, I suddenly took an interest in UFOs and UAPs, having previously thought that there was a fair amount of bunk in that field and just ignored it. But then when the video footage for that came out and I saw the Joe Rogan interview, and I thought, oh, maybe there's something to this, because that is pretty hard to deny that there's something going on there. They got that on multiple sensing systems. So, okay. And the pilot was very, very reliable. This was not some pie in the sky, hairy-fairy person. So, yeah, I just sort of went down the rabbit hole, and I've watched a crap ton of stuff, filtered out a lot of insanity, as you do on the internet, and arrived at starting to think for myself that why aren't we using some of the technology we've got, because we have a lot of really awesome electronics and hardware available these days, and software development tools that are effectively free or cheap. Why are we not looking ourselves? Why are we waiting for governments of the world to do something which they probably never will? Well, they'll do it reluctantly and not very openly. And then I stumbled across a mention of your guys' group on a Chris Lido video, and I thought, oh, okay, so I looked you up, looked up the website, and here I am. I thought, oh well, I'll listen in and see where you're at, because there's no point in reinventing the wheel. So if you are already well down the path of making something functional and useful, then that sounds good. Plus the concept of networking them globally is a good idea. That's very good, especially if you can triangulate positions and locations. If you've got multiple sensing systems or stations in a geographical area, like within a small urban area, and they all pick up the same object, then you've got a good chance of identifying distance and velocity, and object size as well, if you can get consistent information. So if you can cover a number of parts of the globe with these systems, you've got a good chance of gathering some serious data rather than just a bunch of grainy videos. Yeah, so I thought I'd listen in and see what you guys are up to.
Okay.
Because I am a technical person.
Yeah, tell us something about you personally. You're a technical guy. What's your skill set, let's say?
Yeah, I'm an electrical engineer. That's my day job. I work mostly for the pulp and paper industry. I run a small business, myself and two other guys. We do an incredible amount of documentation, like we do maintain drawing systems, and we do produce drawings for construction of automation and electrical power distribution to control systems on paper machines and industrial plants. I write software in C#, mostly around document management and messing around with, maintaining large quantities of files and handling them using SharePoint. If some of you have heard of that, you probably have. If you work for companies, you would have been forced to use it.
Forced is a good word.
Yeah, exactly. It has its warts, like a lot of large corporate pieces of software. So I also mess a lot with electronics, especially when I was younger. I built my own active speaker system, intended to commercialize it, realized what an absolute horror that was as a market, and backed away from that and ended up sticking with electrical engineering as a job, because there was no way I had the money to tackle such an unstable, marketing-driven, and possibly even at that time a dying field, because this was just when streaming of audio, well, it's probably just before the streaming of audio, to be honest. So the tastes in the consumer market were changing very rapidly at that time, away from big static audio systems towards audio as a thing that you carry in your pocket eventually and use as a background to your life rather than something you sit down and listen to. So yeah, it was a rapid change, and I'm glad in some ways I steered away from that, because I've seen so many horror stories of guys trying to tackle that market. But at the same time, I'm a little bit sad because I didn't pursue something that would have been nonetheless very interesting from a technical perspective.
So when you're talking about loudspeakers in particular, right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're you're an electronics engineer. Are you also deep into audio? Is this what I read from that?
Not as a how do you put this without offending people? I don't sit down and listen to music and then judge the quality of the reproduction based on my own golden ears, which I don't have. I'm not one of those guys who loves to sit down and do that sort of thing. It's not something I'm interested in. I discovered along the way that I was very interested in the engineering side of things, the data side of things, and why they are the way they are, and what works and what doesn't work if you're aiming for a particular outcome. And yeah, the end experience, I was much more interested in accurate reproduction, which when it comes to a field like audio, you'll quickly find out that is not what people want. What they want is an experience. They don't want accuracy necessarily. What they want is something that makes them feel good. And
Taste.
Yes, exactly. It's very driven by taste. It's like art. It is kind of a form of art. But sadly, the audio field, being a commercial endeavor, is driven massively by marketing as well. So you can sell people a story.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
yeah, that's frustrating. Yeah, exactly. And just rubbish. You can just tell them a line. As long as you do it well, they will buy it.
Yeah, true.
And I'm not a fan of that. So anyway, I ended up being much more interested in the engineering side of things. I was my early 20s at the time. I'm 50 now. So this was many years ago when I was still thinking that I was still figuring out how some of the world worked. Let's put it that way.
All right.
Engineering, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm very much into that.
Sitting here in front of us, and I ask you directly, are you going to contribute in a way, or do you see yourself more, maybe I'm a stationeer in the future?
I'd be quite happy to contribute. Obviously, I've only just sat in on the last tail end of a big discussion, so I've missed most of it. And I would need to know, I'd probably need to get a much better overview of where it is that you're at in terms of all of the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, as in how far progressed along are you with all the different subcomponents that subsystems you're trying to assemble. And I should probably sit in just on a couple of these meetings to get a sense of that, I'm guessing, unless you've got like a Microsoft project or something like that, some kind of plan that you're working to that you can send me that kind of lays out what you're trying to assemble and how far you are along with each of these components.
Right now we are, let's say, in a research and development phase, meaning we experiment at the moment. So we do things, try to work them out, but not in a concerted way. Meaning, there's one project, and everyone has his little part of the cake and works on that part. Yes, you work on on your part, but you work more in an experimental way. Not that all this is seamlessly integrated into each other. So we are now in a more loose phase where everyone develops for himself, you can say. But the end goal is that the result is something that can be glued together. Christian?
Yeah, and we're making use of project management software. It's called ClickUp, and yes, things are on a much higher level controlled, but everybody is free to fly by himself. So since we are all enthusiasts and we don't get paid for it, we can't demand anyone on doing stuff, and we say, okay, fly freely and just make some contributions, see what you can do, what your own interest is. And I think we have people on board that are amazing, and I'm thankful to be part of that too. And I myself do the, let's say, the overwatch about the development. And Richard and me and some others like Brett, we form, let's say, the most inner circle of it, and say, okay, where can we support all the developers in a much better way, something like that. And
Yeah, what Christian means is that we have an organization needed to give it a form of representation on the one hand, but also to give it the possibility to organize things for, let's say, there are costs involved with certain things. For example, the Google Drive costs, or the what have you, all these tools, these platforms that are used for development, for example. There are costs, and so we organize this and to cover those costs. We have some patrons, so there are some donations. We do not have a membership. We do not do this for now, and I think also in the future. And we see each other as the organization itself is, although it is located in Austria, registered in Austria, doesn't mean it's an Austrian organization. It means it's a global organization. And we see every one of us as a member in a team. Right now, I think we are 16 or 17 people for developers, and lots of people in Discord, and only a very, let's say, a handful that form the organization, that do the organizational, the administrative stuff. The thing, how we set it up, is that everyone contributes his time and his skill set, his knowledge. There's no payment because it's an NGO. It's non-growth. We do not earn money. We are friends, actually. We are all specialists, more or less. Everyone has his specialty. We are all professionals. We are all almost in an age where we look back to 20, 30 years of professional life. And we are, like you said, all at the same time in life where we say, okay, time is ripe because technology is there. It is cheap. We just have to assemble it. UAPs are real. Everyone is talking about it. There's no data, and the data that is existing is rubbish, and the good data is inaccessible. So that's why we are here. We do it ourselves. Our goal is to create a network of 150,000 stations worldwide, where each station has a distance to the next one between 20 and 30 kilometers, which is quite enough for triangulation. And it is the stationeers who invest time and money to create their station. We do not create this 150,000 station. Everyone creates their own station. I have an experimental station on my roof running. The idea is that we attract people that they create their station. What we do is we provide a curated list of hardware that is tested. First, we find the right partners, and the industry is huge, and we have to find the right partner and find the right product, test the product, implement it in the software, put it on the curated list of hardware so that the stationer then can go to the curated list and buy it himself. And
all right, guys, I gotta hop off.
Okay,
Yes.
bye,
time.
Brett.
Yeah, anyway, we have 7 minutes to go. So that's basically it. It's members developing together. It's more or less friends. We are everywhere. Mike is in Wales, UK. Chris is in Germany. I'm in Austria. Rebecca is in Texas. Brett was in Kansas. And so forth. So it's globally. You are in New Zealand. So the only burden we have is time. The time zones. That's a bit of a tricky thing. this we have a Sunday meeting. Every Sunday we meet at let's say 5 p.m. UTC time. This is for Mike and us. It's okay. Yeah, we are 1 or 2 hours off. For you, as a Kiwi, it's 8 hours difference.
It's 12 hours.
12 hours
It's 5 in the
distance.
morning.
Dear, really? It's 5 o'clock at
Yes,
your place right now.
right now it's 7 o'clock now. Sorry, just rolling up to 7 o'clock
Goodness
in the morning.
Jesus. Please tell me that you're
Yeah.
an early up getter.
Not normally. I usually get up between now and 7:30. But yeah, I set a reminder, but it didn't wake me up this morning because we were in a first night in a strange house, and it's just
Yeah.
I got up when I got up. That's why I'm late to this meeting. I just rolled in. I was like, I looked at my phone and it's like it said 6 o'clock. I said, oh shit, I'm an hour late. So yeah.
Yeah, that's a burden. That's
Yeah.
and the Americans are 12 hours behind now, not 6 or 8 hours
Yeah.
behind. Yeah,
6 to 8, yes.
6 to 8 behind. This is
Yeah.
also what makes that doesn't make it easy in communication. And although we have these meetings, it's not that every time everyone has time to attend the meetings.
Yeah.
But this is no
Yeah.
problem. We do not force anyone to do something. It's we tinker it all together and we have fun with it, doing it, and we'd like to discuss things and help each other by thinking about their local problems, what have you. This makes fun. And of course we have an end goal, and this is a 150,000 network, a 150,000 station network out there, and we want to catch those buggers out there. We want to have high grade data that is there, and we want to provide it for everyone to analyze and to open this for everyone to use, not only the military or what have you. Yeah, that's our philosophy. Hey guys, I leave it there. It's 5 minutes to 9 here. This is all recorded, by the way, Glenn. This is also something I have to inform you.
Yep.
We record once a month these discussions purely because of IP protection against infringement. Okay, we do not patent what we do. We discuss it openly, record that once a month, put it on YouTube so it is published and nobody can take from us. This is not important from anyone taking from us. There are already some that took from us. Yeah, they could mention us, but they didn't. There's not Kyle only, Christian. There's another one. It's Hathaway in the US. He copied us too.
Yeah.
And he claims that it is his idea and puts him on his website and so forth. But it's a big company, Hathaway. I show you the link. It's a huge company. So big guys do it. Small professors do it. So the only thing we can protect ourselves is from them saying we stole from them, is to show them we talked about it by much earlier. Yeah, this is our proof because we recorded it and it's on YouTube. So that's the only reason we do it. And that's why we do
you have
it
to watch out for the patent trolls.
Yeah, and that's why we do it only once a month, a recorded one, and all the other 3 weekends we have just a chat, a lazy chat. You can even drink beer or a whiskey, what have you. So guys, on that note, I stop the recording, and then we can still have a discussion. Christian, anything that has to go on record?
Yes. We should make an appointment with Glenn to talk him into what our status now, what we are doing, where we have some needs of, let's say, some contributions next week.
I would say give him some time to see the website, and maybe you have time to join next weekend, and let's discuss then when you say, okay, I want to contribute, and then let's discuss about a time that we meet again, just the 3 of us, for example, and then we give you a detailed rundown.
Yes.
Yeah. The videos of these sessions, are they up on the web somewhere that I can stream? Are they on YouTube? Or?
They're on YouTube, yes.
There are some videos.
So if I was...
These discussion videos are on YouTube. There's a link on the website. when
Yep.
you go on our website, you scroll down, you find our channels, and there's the YouTube channel as well. You click there and you see all the videos, the recordings. You can watch them, what we discussed in the past. There's also some videos on our website, just showing what is recorded in the past, not much. Yeah, and if you want to see the real material, we have to find another time because it's a lot of material if you want to see it.
Yeah.
Okay, on that note, I stop the recording.